Hello everybody and welcome to The High Road. My name is Noel C. Blundell and I'm here with Remington Liam Blundell. How are you, mate?
Good afternoon. I'm feeling tired but good.
Tired?
Yep.
Didn't you get enough sleep last night?
No, I had a late one.
You had a late one?
But it was actually very, very rare for a weekday, a late one.
So you just sort of took it upon yourself that you'd have a late one and pay the consequences the next day?
Yep.
And how did that work out for you? Obviously you're tired.
Just a couple of yawns and a couple of yawns and a bit of blurry vision. No, I'm just kidding. Not that serious.
So when I glance across the studio, I'll see you there with a gaping mouth open, breathing in and out a yawn, will I?
Maybe once or twice.
Yep. Well, if any important questions come up, I'll wake you up, all right? Let you to answer them, all right?
Thank you.
Would you like me to set the alarm?
No, it's okay. I'll be tuned in.
You're going to soldier on through, eh?
I'll soldier on through, but that is how my morning's been.
Oh, that's fantastic. Look, the last episode we did 10 questions of life. And we also did another show and with another 10 questions of life.
Was it 10 or 5?
It's 10 was the last episode.
Yeah.
And then the one after that, we did 5 of the second 10.
Oh, okay.
So we're on to the second 5 of the second 10. Does that make sense?
Not really, but I'll trust what you're doing.
You get what I mean?
Yep.
Anyway, it's a range of questions. We'll go through the people and we have had to deal with in life from time to time. And we discuss it. And we hope you'll find them topical, interesting and informative. Okay, shall we start?
Let's get to it.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay, question number 1. Do you assume people think like you?
I used to, and that was a grave mistake.
Yes, it is.
And it's becoming more and more apparent as I get older and meet new people and engage with community groups and attend meetings. People really do not think like me.
No, they don't.
And it's eye-opening because when you're young, you think, oh, yeah, every adult's got it worked out.
Yep.
You think, oh, yeah, they know what they're doing. They've got life sorted. And then I'm at that age where I can now realise that no one has anything sorted and no one thinks the same as me.
There's two.
Yeah.
Go on, sorry.
I guess it just reassures my values and my standards, I suppose. And I am baffled at some people's decision-making processes.
Yes.
So, no, I don't think people think the same as me, but I used to, and I was met with disappointment and yeah, or else the world would probably be a lot better place. And in a humble way, I'll say that.
I don't know. Some people might beg to differ with you on that one. There's 2 amazing things there. One is, don't you think it's amazing that everyone's different and don't think like us?
And that's the other flip side of the coin. It adds different perspective. It adds something that you don't. Not everyone can think like me, obviously, because then it'd be boring.
Well, everyone has. I think it makes the world colourful that we all do think a little bit differently. I also believe that cuts across another question a bit further on the long lines, but it cuts across your beliefs, and everyone has something to offer. Everyone has a story, and everyone has something to teach you. That's why I always pull up and have a chat to people wherever I may be, in whatever situation I may find myself in, and have a bit of a discussion. And it has never failed to be an interesting discussion where I take something away, a little bit of a different perspective. And I find that a really enjoyable pastime. But that's the amazing thing. There's 2 amazing things. The first thing was, it is amazing that we do things so differently. But what the most amazing thing is, the larger majority of us think that all people think like you do.
Really?
Well, I do. You do. Everyone you speak to tends to get into that position. No, everyone thinks like me do. And then they get this horrible shock that people don't.
I think the horrible shock comes from maybe you could present someone with pure logic that makes sense, 2 + 2 = 4, and they still don't think that.
Because usually people can only view their own life and perspective through their own lens. and their own lens is made up of their values and attitudes and what sort of family environment they were brought up in, whether they were exposed to trauma, whether they weren't exposed to trauma, love, too much love. You know, it's the old order and chaos argument. Whether they were brought up in chaos or whether they were brought up in order, a nice balance of the two, or the extreme of one of the other, or the other. Not that either's one's good, one's bad, one's good. It just is. So, you know, people are looking through their own perspectives and applying it to their own lives. So realistically, looking at it from a psychological perspective, it is impossible for any two people to think alike.
Yeah.
You may have similar thoughts. You may be of the same ilk, you know, and there are common ground. You might be siblings, but a lot of siblings don't see eye to eye either.
No.
Lots of siblings don't see eye to eye. But, you know, it might be classmates or someone you met in your school and you've gotten along together for, decades. And your friends, you might think alike. That makes up your friend group. That makes up your social group because you're all of the same ilk. You're thinking along the same lines, so you sort of reinforce what's going on. You got to be a little bit careful of that because you can end up in a bit of an echo chamber where everyone's thinking along the same lines. I think we saw a natural consequence to that in World War II in Nazi Germany. That was a bit of an echo chamber, which become very negative.
From a political standpoint?
Yes, from a political standpoint. And anyway, but I think it's really amazing that we do tend to get into that falsehood or that false sense of security that others think like us. And if you see it through a logical perspective or your lens sees it as logical, not everyone's going to see it the same.
No, and like as I said before, you know, it was a bit eye-opening for me, I suppose.
And
especially in high school, I think that's when it started for me.
Yeah, well, that's when people start to get very reassured of their opinion and their positions in the world, and feel that you need to pick up your game and get on board with them. Do you think social media has made it more obvious that people don't think alike?
Oh, people don't think alike.
Yes.
Yes and no. So I guess social media has kind of, I thought in a way has kind of aligned what people have thought in a way that's like they all believe the same. They all attend to the same trends, post the same, you know what I mean?
Yes, they do.
That type of stuff. But
yes.
Thinking patterns.
Yes.
Yes and no.
That's interesting. Yeah. That's interesting.
I need to look more into that, actually.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, though, isn't it? Because we are, as a society, we're very polarised. We can't make a decision on anything, really. It's very hard to find an agreement on some certain issues. There's usually 2 or 3 different camps on every contentious issue that comes up, right? Fors, against, and fence sitters, I suppose those 3 camps would be, right? But every issue that we speak to has those 3 perspectives, really. Broadly speaking, I'm not talking succinctly, but broadly speaking from my experience. And, of course, what we seem to be seeing at the moment is there's one of those groups that are fiercely protecting their opinion. There's one of those groups that don't agree with that at all. They're 100% on the opposite side of the fence, and they will pretty fiercely protect and speak up on behalf of their belief system. And we'll get the fence sitters and the waivers in the middle, right? And they'll sway one way or the other. Would you say that sums up us as a society at the moment?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's funny. We sort of initially think when we have a thought and we're going to put that out there to the open world, we think that people will think like us. That's really strange, isn't it?
Yeah, so in a way it has, and in a way it has, but in a way it hasn't as well, because it's also aligned people to think alike, and then also aligned people to not think alike.
Social media?
Yes.
Yes, it has. It has indeed.
People, follow pages,
yes, they do.
Read articles,
yes, they do.
Watch videos on everything that aligns with them.
Yep.
For example, if I like hunting, I'll probably watch how to hunt.
Correct.
If I like archery, I'll probably do that. If I like a political party, I'll most likely follow up on
that vein.
What their activities are, that
Yes.
type of stuff. Yeah.
Yes. And social media has become a major communication tool for the human race on the planet in the 21st century. Would you say that would be correct?
Yep.
Right? The first and foremost communication mechanism we have.
Yes.
That's how we're communicating. We used to do it face-to-face, but the face-to-face communication is starting to reduce, and a lot of people are turning to screens and technological forms of communication.
Yeah.
So it's interesting where that's going to take us in the future. That's going to be. We're living in very interesting times, mate. What do you think?
Oh, it's fascinating, really. Just yesterday, I just went to down to the mall in the local town around here, parked up the car and just enjoyed I was having a hot beverage, enjoyed my beverage in the car before I wanted to go in there and walk, and I just watched society go by, and it's interesting times for sure. It's just, I'd quite enjoy it, watching how society goes and everyone's in their own worlds, and yeah, so I quite enjoyed that, but interesting times indeed.
Very interesting times. And it's funny you should say that, because a couple of lifetimes ago of mine, in preparation for university, I used to drive a taxi in a rural township. And when you drive a taxi, your clientele transforms from different times of the day. So I predominantly did nights because that suited me, and in my preparation for going to study. And so that was more of the dinner crowd and the going out to crowd to the cinemas and to pubs and things along those lines. But often I'd take a day shift, right, or start earlier in the day. Instead of starting at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd start at, say, 1 or 2. And when you work through the day, the whole clientele base shifted. It was different. It was those who were suffered a disability of some sort, way, shape, or form, and couldn't drive, or didn't have an access to a vehicle, and we'd go and pick them up and take them down to the supermarket. Now, the amount of fares that went from home to supermarket and supermarket back home was astounding through the day. That was pretty much all you did, was go to the supermarket and help people load their shopping in and out of their homes, and which I really enjoyed, helping people out. That was I liked that aspect of it. But I did, because you wait in the car park for these people to go and do their shopping and come out again. So you spent a fair bit of time in the supermarket car park, right, which I never did. I found that to be one of the most astounding studies and insights into sociology and how we function as a society that I could ever get. So all you professors out there, I recommend you go and spend a couple of hours in the car park. Woolworths, you'll learn heaps.
That's something we could start, saying to people.
Well,
if you want to learn about society, go park in the car park.
It was amazing. It didn't dawn on me. I just went, just turn up, pick up, supermarket, no worries, When I first started, okay, no worries, because I've really enjoyed the interaction with human beings and people and talking to people and, all that aspect of the job. And it just started to stun me. I was amazed. I was just amazed how dependent we are on supermarkets, and how the continuous flow of people in and out of supermarkets to get supplies for food, and how as a species we are heavily dependent on nutrients, of course, right? No prizes for working that one out. But, it was just amazing. It was an amazing process. And we all tend at one point of a time to levitate down to that food supply institution, and we load up our supplies and go home. And we do it on a regular basis, and I do believe we don't really sort of pay much attention that we do that. It's become second nature now,
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm a bit off track, but it was really, really interesting, and I found it fascinating. So
yeah, well, that's what I did yesterday.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
You go down at a deeper level, you look at everyone individually.
Yes,
I think they wear, how they express themselves, how they carry themselves.
That's correct.
Usually, how they present themselves represents what type of person they are.
Well, it can to a degree, although we can't be judgmental along those lines.
Not at all.
But to a degree, you can sort of assess, who you're going to be talking to in the short term, not in a judgmental way, though. And I think that's some of the skills you pick up when you start to begin to study human behaviour and psychological science. You actually you get to look at things from a bit of a broader perspective, and to take a step back and become an observer instead of a participant. And I think that is an important skill that you do actually, unbeknownst to the student, pick up those study skills. And yeah, it can be because we're so busy in our lives. We're so goal orientated, and we're so preoccupied and distracted with our lives, right?
Yeah.
Get down to the supermarket, park properly, don't hit somebody, don't bang your door on the car, get a trolley, go to the aisle you're looking for, and if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
We've got this narrative going in our heads. We got goals we want to achieve. We got goals to get there, to get our supplies and pay the appropriate amount of money. Make sure we have the money available, right? Make sure we remember everything. We're feeding a family, or we're supporting someone or ourselves and our well-being. Get out of there. Make sure we negotiate the car park properly and don't have an accident, which is prime place for accidents, right? That's mostly where you get most of the damage on your motor vehicle. Right, and then you get out of there and drive home safely, and then unpack it all, and then get on with your business because it's part of that.
Yeah,
we get so absorbed in that, right, in our little daily lives. But as I was saying, when you go through psychology and start to study that area of human behaviour, you actually start to step back out of that participating and distraction mindset, and you become to take on the observer, which it gives you a whole different perspective on us as a group of people who live in a community. I think it's wonderful. I have always appreciated that. Anyway, a bit off topic, and sorry about that. But anyway, let's move along to number 2. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Okay. What do you think delayed gratification is for you?
To me, probably one of the key aspects to success.
Delayed gratification.
Yes.
Do you have a definition there?
I do, and I'll read it out. I'll read it out just quickly. Delayed gratification is the act of resisting an impulse to take an immediate available reward in the hope of obtaining a more valued reward in the future. The ability to delay gratification is essential to self-regulation or self-control.
Yes, it is. And I didn't realise it was we grapple with instant gratification and delayed gratification all the time.
Every single day. And every self-help book method is essentially working around this principle of learning how to be content with not being instantly gratified.
Yes, amazing. Because instant gratification is rewarded with dopamine.
Yeah.
The chemical reaction in your brain is dopamine, which is the happy reward drug, right?
Yeah.
So when we do get instant gratification, we get that surge of dopamine into our brains, and we go, ooh yeah, ooh la la, that's just what I was looking for. Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's right. So that's what reinforces the instant gratification, and that's why we tend to, if we're not taking any notice of what's going on in our environment and for ourselves, we tend to err on the side of instant gratification, which underpins the formulation of addictions. Apparently, in the literature, that's what I've been reading a little bit. There's some interesting stuff on delayed gratification that is out there. It's an issue that, as I said, it's an issue that everyone has to deal with, and I tend to wonder whether it's discussed very, very well. I remember when you guys were little boys, and I don't like to go down this road on the podcast, but I remember when you guys were little guys. I used to do little delayed gratification exercises with you guys all the time because I knew the benefits of delayed gratification, right? And so I'd say to you things along the lines of, okay, do you want a biscuit? You know, it's time for a biscuit. Yay, right? And I'd go, okay, I'll tell you what, you can have a biscuit now, or if you wait 10 minutes, I'll give you a biscuit and I'm going to drink a milk, right? And you did take the second option. You started to take the second up quite a bit because it was, do you want it now or do you want it later, right? And delayed that gratification. And I think it did very well for you guys because, it as a parent, it gave me an opportunity to start to work on how do I teach my children appreciation. That was a big issue of mine. There's a bit of a disclosure here. That was a big issue of mine because we live in such an affluent country, and we have All we have to do is get in the car, go to Kmart, we can buy anything for our children. It's laid on. It's very available. It's very cheap. And if you think your child would benefit from that or like that, you just grab it. So we have so much. We live in a world of abundance here in the first world country.
Yeah.
So what I grappled with constantly was, how do you teach your children appreciation in a first world country, an affluent first world country? So that was that was an issue for me. And how I approached that was through little exercises of delayed gratification. I think it worked pretty well for you guys. You guys responded pretty well. I'm talking in the age I started that. It's when you were mobile, becoming independent, things along those lines. I'd say 4, 5, because before that it's a bit difficult because
I think it's crucial. For development in children, it's delayed gratification.
Yeah, because yes, I do too. And of course, as I've mentioned previously, teaching my children about appreciation was a real interesting point. I have got a document here that I've been having a bit of a look through, and you might be interested to find. 1 second, let me have a scroll. Yep, in the 60s, Stanford professor named Walter Mischel began a series of psychological tests, and what it was called was the marshmallow experiment. And he got hundreds and hundreds of children, and with parents' consent, of course, and he set them in a room, and he put a plate in front of them and put a marshmallow on the plate and said, I'll tell you what, if you don't eat that marshmallow now, you wait 15 minutes, I'll give you 2. Now, he filmed this process, and I think the films can be found on YouTube. And I'm pretty sure we did look at portions of this experiment in class.
Yep.
Anyway, it's hilarious. The children are hilarious. Some children it's just hilarious. It's children being children, little children too. I think they started off about 6 years of age, I think was the age limit. Anyway, some kids, as soon as the doctor closed the door and walked out the door, they had the marshmallow between their gums and they were enjoying that immediately.
Yeah.
Some children squirmed around in their chairs and looked at in the corner and glanced away from it and then kept their fingers off it and looked at it and then worked really hard not to eat that marshmallow. And ultimately, there's a percentage of them give in, and there was a percentage of them that didn't give in. They sat there and they crossed their arms and they bit their tongue and they sat there until that experimenter come back and he gave them the two marshmallows, and away they went. They did that for quite some time, right? And what they found was the children who were willing to delay their gratification and wait to receive the second marshmallow ended up having higher SAT scores, lower levels of substance abuse, lower likelihood of obesity, a better response to stress, and better social skills as reported by their parents.
That's how important it is.
Oh no!
Wow.
Their general life scores were better. The researchers went on to do a longevity study of over 40 years and followed these children. Right, that's a big study, mate.
Huge.
We don't see a lot of them at 40 years. We do see them at 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and 5. They're pretty popular. They're longevity studies. This one was done over 40 years, and over again. The group that waited patiently for the second marshmallow succeeded in whatever capacity they were measured. In other words, this series of experiments provided the ability to delay gratification was critical to life success.
Didn't I just say that?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I said earlier, key to success.
And and this was the series of experiments at Stanford University which actually supported that. Isn't it funny in science, particularly psychological science, that people would state the most obvious, right? And then we go through a whole process of measurement and analysis to determine that they were right.
Yeah.
Did you find that weird in university?
Yep.
They'd state the blindly obvious. Well, that's obvious. But the beauty of psychological science is when you studied it and you found the truth, it was an uncategorical truth then.
Yeah.
Within varying degrees. But also, what was one of the most amazing things about the discipline of psychological science was that people would state the blindingly obvious. We go through the process of succinctly measuring it and analysing the data that was generated, and discovered it was not true. There was a number of experiments like that too.
Yep.
So a lot of wives' tales have been dispelled, right, through that process. But a lot of them have been supported too as well. Anyway, that's really interesting. Delayed gratification is an amazing thing. And I think we could probably spend a lot more time on that at some other stage.
Yeah, and every addiction, bad habit, and even procrastination to an extent is a result of being instantly gratified all the time.
Yeah, and they reckon there's a couple of ways you can alleviate instant gratification or the urge to be instantly gratified. Is knowing what's important to you, setting goals, and sticking to those goals, making sure the goals are achievable.
Yep.
Smart goals. Yep. Smart, which is?
Oh, now you're testing me. Smart goals.
Attainable. Realistic.
Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Yeah, that's it. So, setting those goals, right? And they say developing a plan.
Yeah.
So you can actually see the steps you're taking are actually paying off to you attaining your big goal. And we've had lots of discussions about goal attainment on this show, haven't we?
Yeah, of course. And I've a couple of my friends that I know just have no idea what delayed gratification is.
Yep. There's some other things too. With delayed gratification, which I've tried to advocate to you guys before, and I advocate to my wife. Shout out to the lovely Meg. If you think you see something there in the shop, you go, oh, wow, look at that. I've been looking for one of them, or I wouldn't mind one of them. If you've been looking for it, it's different. You've actually delayed gratification because you've been searching around doing your research.
Yep.
But if you see something, go, oh, I wouldn't mind one of them, right? I often advocate, just wait 24 hours. It'll still be here in the shop. Wait 24 hours. Go away, go about your life, see how you go. And if it's still in the forefront of your mind within 24 hours, go back and buy it, right? Because we often purchase things spontaneously, and we often take it home, put them down, never use them. You look in some of the advertising platforms like Gumtree, Trade Post, things along those lines, and the amount of brand new things for sale, much cheaper than they were bought at retail price, is astonishing.
Oh yeah,
because that's a spontaneous purchase, and in franchising and in retail, a large amount of their profit generation is through spontaneous purchasing.
Yeah, like
behavior.
deals and specials. And
That's
all that.
correct,
Yeah,
and that's why when you go to the checkout at Kmart and places like that and the supermarket, you got to go through now at Kmart. You've got to go through it must be 50 meters of bargains and cheap balls and chocolates and batteries, and you got to walk that gauntlet, right? And most of it is at the height of your 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old child.
Yep.
Right, so they've got to stand in line and stare at chocolate bars. Oh, you get served.
That's right.
It's not, it's a bit heinous, really.
Yeah.
But the amount of spontaneous purchasing and the power of spontaneous purchasing is amazing, and every retailer knows that. Wait 24 hours. I think that's a really good thing. Remind yourself of your goals consistently.
Yep.
Take a break from social media is one of the strategies that I come up with.
Wow.
Yeah, well, because social media is you're bombarded with sponsored commercials, and you do tend to click on them. Lots of people doing lots of spontaneous purchases through that method. So if you give social media a bit of a break, that'll help you with your delayed gratification.
Yeah.
And ask what is the real costs, right? And frequently challenge yourself with longer term goals.
Wow.
All right, number 3. Here we go. What should you do about your own internal voice?
Well, what do you mean by internal voice?
Well, let's
self-talk.
Yes, that's the little voice that goes on in your head in relation to your whole life, your existence, and who you're about and what you're doing and things along those lines. That's a little voice that drives imposter syndrome. That's the little voice can either be negative or positive. That's the little voice that sets up scenarios for you that you seem that are insurmountable and you don't really know what to do about them.
Yep.
What do you do about your little internal voice? You got any ideas?
Oh, well, I kind of did this a few years ago, but was pretty disciplined with myself and what I thought.
Good.
So I don't really negatively self-talk. Sure, you can have a second thought.
Yep.
on things.
Yep.
But negatively self-talk, I don't usually do that.
Yeah.
And that, everyone kind of does it to an extent, but I just disciplined myself.
Yep.
Because it wasn't doing me any good. But as soon as a thought would pop in, because you come across thoughts like furniture in a room.
Correct.
And I think Nietzsche said that actually.
Yep.
And so whenever a thought would pop into my head, could be negative or whatever, I didn't give it that much attention and kept moving on. I suppose.
That's probably a good strategy, and it's obviously worked for you.
Yeah, I was just like walking past furniture.
Yep.
Like I come across the thought.
Yep.
Kept going.
Yep.
I didn't really fixate on it, and so that's what I did. And after letting it go and then doing it over and over again, it was kind of turned to like a discipline thing at first, but now it's just almost second nature. I have a very, very it helped a lot actually, especially when you're going through high school and all the social stuff in friend groups is at the peak of your interest.
Yes.
So and when you're feeling like you're behind or inadequate, it was self-discipline probably helped propel that forward. Shut the hell up, brain.
Yeah.
That type of stuff.
Well, there's some of those strategies that are really, really effective for your internal voice, particularly if it's negative, right?
That's easier said than done, but
agreed.
You get my point.
And people really grapple with it. People really, really grapple with this, and of course that manifests into emotions that actually back that up. So that can be real problematic. But those strategies you just put forward then, like reprimanding the self-talk, I think it's a very good idea. I know Dr. Joe Dispenza and a group of scientists put together a movie. It was a documentary movie called What the Bleep Do We Know, which was really, really good and spoke of that and a fair bit. Also, Eckhart Tolle wrote a very, very influential book, great book called The Power of Now.
I've got that on my shelf.
Brilliant book. It's a world changer. But it's a book that you've got to be ready for because you can start reading it today and think to yourself, what is this garbage, right? It just does not resonate. But then again, you can pick it up in 5 years' time and go, oh, that's right, I was going to read this. Everyone raves about it. Open it up and you won't be able to put it down and you will be a changed person by the time you finish that book.
Yeah.
It's one of those sort of books. But if I could just unpack quickly in relation to negative self-talk, Eckhart Tolle goes into, because he suffered negative self-talk to the point of suicidal ideation. And this is what motivated him to change his world and to write this book. He was saying that we shouldn't view ourselves as our mind. Our mind is not us, right? He states that our mind is actually a tool that we use, but we let it run unsupervised, right? Case in point, negative self-talk, right? That's just purely your mind running unsupervised. That's not your soul, that's your mind, right? So it's a little bit of a hard concept to get your head around, but that's what he states. He states your mind is a tool that we should use, like a tool in a toolbox. When you need to repair something, you go to the toolbox, you specifically pull out a tool, you make that repair, put the tool back in the toolbox, and then forget about it, as we do with toolboxes. He states we should use our mind exactly the same. And when you find yourself negatively talking about yourself or others, because you could be walking down the street, see someone walking towards you that's got a hole in their jeans, and you think to yourself, oh, well, they must be bloody, homeless, right?
Yeah.
That's your negative self-talk being very destructive and unsupervised on you. When you identify that self-talk going on in your mind is when you apply that strategy that you just said then. You get a grip on it, you say, listen, shut up, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, well, that's what I did. That was my discipline.
Yeah, right.
Supervision.
So it's like an observer effect on what your mind is doing.
Yeah. Okay.
So what Joe Dispenza says the same. You should observe what your mind is saying, right? Then you'll be able to take control of the self-talk at that stage. If you are the self-talk, you can't control it. If you're observing the self-talk and start to reprimand yourself for that judgmental and negative self-talk constant chatter in your mind, you will begin to slowly, with practice, gain control over that self-talk reduce its impact on your life, because it will have an impact on your life. It will have an impact on your self-esteem if you let it go unchecked for long periods of time.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Makes sense?
It's a bit weird to get your head around for people that have no idea where to even start, because it's like your voice inside your head, and then step back and observe the voice inside your head with the voice inside your head, if that makes sense, because you kind of have to question it in a way.
Yeah, you do have to question it, and the way it has been put to me is if you close your eyes, imagine yourself sitting in the room, and then imagine yourself looking at yourself sitting in that chair in that room, right? That is the observer effect, where you're observing yourself. What you do is you mentally start to observe what's going through your mind, right? So when you're out walking in the street, go walking down the street. It's a perfect example. Go walking down the street, right? And you'll be walking along, and you'll see someone who hasn't had a haircut for 10 years, right? And instantly in your mind, you will say, because we all do it, right? And it is a little bit judgmental. Look at that guy, he needs a haircut, right? That's a spontaneous thought which has created dialogue in your mind, right?
Yeah.
That's the same dialogue in your mind as you've just come out of an undergraduate degree as pick something.
You've come across that thought.
Righto. And you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm just me. I know I've just completed an undergraduate degree, but I'm just me. I'm fake. Oh, no. And then next, the negative self-talk kicks in. I'm a fake. Everyone's going to find out. As soon as I speak to somebody, they're going to know, right? That's the imposter syndrome. Yeah. And we all suffer to one degree or another in varying degrees, right? You can get on top of that, and it's not that hard. But that is an example of your mind operating unsupervised.
Yeah.
That is negative self-talk. That will have a detrimental effect on your self-esteem and you as a person. And if you let it continue without supervising those thoughts, it will manifest physically in your health and well-being. So we need to get a grip of it. We need to identify that we're doing that, and we do that all the time. Yeah. You know, with some of those comments that would verify that your mind is running unsupervised are comments like you're driving down the road, someone cuts you off, you go, look at that idiot, right? Someone litters, you go, look at that idiot, someone should ring the police, right? That's spontaneous thoughts and conversation dialogues going on in your mind. Start to identify those moments. Start to identify that. When you can start to identify that, then you can have a discussion with your mind. Say, listen, I don't want to hear it, right? Because anything negative running through your mind is purely negative. It doesn't have any good outcomes for you, right? I know it's a safety mechanism, things along those lines, but yep.
What can it manifest into? Because I'm thinking it can manifest into
depression,
judgmental. You become extremely judgmental.
Yes, correct.
You become physically unwell.
Yes.
And you're very pessimistic.
Yes.
Would that be right?
Yes, yep. And you can also develop a grandiose ego.
Yep.
Right? It can impact on your ego. It can also impact your behaviour, right? Because next minute you're not talking to anybody who needs a haircut, right? I'm not talking to you.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Keep away from me, right? Or, things on, someone's walking past me, with a hole in their jeans. You got a hole in your jeans. Right, that's it. I'm not don't talk to me. If you fall over in the street, I'm not helping you. If you're injured in a car accident, I'm not ringing an ambulance for you. Right, because see where it can go.
Yeah,
right. That's the extreme.
Yeah,
right. But it's negative, right? And most negative self-talk, internal voices, are negative. You're fat. You'll never be skinny. You never lose weight. So why bother?
Yeah,
right. You got say some unfortunate soul's been diagnosed diabetes. Right, you have to give up all sugar, carbohydrates. You change your diet. You got to change your life. You got to do it right. And they try that. No, you'll never. They walk out the doctor's room. You'll never do that. You're useless. That'll never happen. What do you think you are? Who do you think you are? You're not going to, right? That's that negative self-talk that's going on in your mind, right? If you let that run rampant, that diabetes is only going to get worse, mate.
Yeah.
Right? So we've got to grapple with it. And it's a psychological grapple all the time with what's going on in our mind.
Yeah.
Right? But anyway, we'd probably have to spend the whole show on that. Moving right along to question number 4. Okay. Should we continue questioning our own beliefs?
Of course. What do you reckon about that?
Well,
I'd say, yeah.
I think
yes and no, no and yeah.
Some of our own beliefs we survive on, and some of them we don't really need. And are they our beliefs, or are they beliefs that have been instilled into us by our parents and or our grandparents and or our grandparents' grandparents? Are they fables? Are they relevant today? They might have applied quite well. How to sharpen an axe is this way, and I believe this is the only way to do it. Well, you're carrying that belief around in your mind, but not many of us have axes anymore. Yeah. We don't need to chop wood for heat. See what that's an extreme case, but see what I'm getting at. So I suppose you do need to question your own beliefs, right?
Yeah. Well, some of them, as you said, survival. It's our lens.
Yes.
It's our value structure.
Yes.
It's our beliefs.
And I dare say some of our beliefs are hard to change. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Some of them, it comes with it, again, internal battle. But some things you will firmly believe. And some of your beliefs, I dare say, you'd have to vehemently defend.
Yep.
Right? Again, it's not... this cuts across our question number one, do you assume people think like you? But some of our beliefs we have to defend because they suit us and how we live and how we negotiate our lives and the environment, right? And that belief would not suit someone else who has a different environment, different lifestyle, different outcome and goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really, really interesting. How do we go about questioning our beliefs? How do you do that?
Oh, well, first, it's very hard.
It is.
For people. You got to admit that it is very hard. But how do you go about it? I've met people that really, like, all due respect, but they grapple with this stuff. They don't know how or where to start because it's all they have.
Yeah, correct.
But the first thing you do is look within.
Yeah, correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
And basically, you do have to look within, and sometimes that's the challenge unto itself, don't you think?
Yeah.
Right, because there's some stuff we just don't want to look within to have a look at within ourselves. That can be quite a journey on its own. And I think we spoke about identifying your shadow and having a look at those things that irk you, or you meet somebody in the street and you really don't like them, right? There's just something about them. Usually they have an attribute that is reflected in yourself that you don't like about yourself that you have been harbouring. You need to get that dislike out and have a good, long, hard look at it, and then you'll be a better integrated person, right?
Yeah. Do you think if people struggle challenging their beliefs or changing them, that's just a consequence of them being comfortable in a way? Like they've gotten to this point. They're comfortable here.
Yep.
They don't want to move.
Comfort zones are big. Yes.
Yes. Expanding your limits terrifies them.
Yes. Comfort zones play a big role, and we're all happy with our comfort zones. We're all guilty of that. It's normal. So it's a normal human behaviour, and yes, it is. Challenging your own beliefs is actually challenging your own comfort zones, and sometimes it is very uncomfortable to change your beliefs. You don't want to know about lots of things, I've often said to you guys, and I've often said to others that the truth is not always what you want to hear, right? And it has the capacity to really kick you in the guts big time, right?
And oh boy, has it.
Right. So, but in saying that, you heal quickly from the bruises of truth. Where if you deny truth, the pain is just extended indefinitely and manifests into other things, right?
Sickness.
Well, ultimately,
potential sickness.
In the worst case scenario, yes, it is potential sickness.
Just back on the challenging and changing beliefs thing, I think it's also very anxiety provoking, because the more you open your mind, the more conscious you become in a way.
Yep.
The more you're not relying on your comfortability or your beliefs anymore. The more you're stepping into an open play field, And that's very anxious for some people.
With no boundaries, yes.
Exactly.
It is.
And so that's what I've kind of realised as well, is that people get in their belief system, stay there.
Yes.
Because anything that's too conscious, too open-minded, actually encourages the ego to not have that
And
backbone
it's
in
secure.
a way. You're lifting it out of.
Yes.
It's hard to explain, but it lifts the ego out, and so there's no backbone.
Correct.
And so you get very anxious. You don't know what to do. People can go crazy on it, really.
Yes, and in saying that, you're saying that there's no boundaries around it, and it's very open, and it's not safe anymore.
Yeah.
And so, therefore, if you step out of your belief system and start to expand it a little bit, you have the potential of failure and shame.
Yep.
Right? And everybody is, I think, hardwired against shame.
And it's hard because as soon as you take one step out of the comfort zone in terms of your beliefs, your mind just wants to slip back straight away.
Yeah, but basically, you resort to the programming.
Yeah, I'll present you with information you've never heard before. Stuff that.
Yep.
I'm going back to where I was.
Yep.
Happens constantly.
Correct.
It's like the rejection of new information.
Yeah.
And that's all coming from ignorance is bliss in a way.
Yes.
That type of stuff, which I
works
get.
well.
Knowledge is pain.
And again, that resonates of setting new goals for yourself.
Yep.
Right. That sort of resonates with that, because that'll certainly get you out of a belief system.
Yeah.
Right. If you believe, I'll never get a new car, and then you put steps in place and work, bang, there's your goal.
Yep.
You'll actually attain your big goal. Any goal, that could be any goal. You will attain it if you continuously take steps towards it. But your belief system might be that you won't.
Yeah.
So, you need to have a look at that, really, don't you?
Yeah.
Anyway.
That
was interesting.
I was just about to say. That's a very interesting one.
It is.
I came across different thoughts in that conversation we just had. So
it's amazing when you go down that road. All right, last but not least, number 5. Here we go. You ready?
Go on.
Do you keep designing and creating your own life? Or should we keep designing and creating our own life?
Oh, that's pretty much a no-brainer, eh? Of course.
I think so.
If you can do it. Some people can't.
Comfort zones again?
Yes.
So we're very happy to stay in the spot we are because it's comfy. I think we do suffer that a lot, all of us. That's just a natural human behaviour. I'm sure I said that with question 4. But
what's designing your life though?
Well, getting in your mind's eye how you might like to see your future, and then starting to take steps towards that,
and creating your own life,
and then creating your own life. Yes.
Okay. Yep.
That's right. So. Example, all right. You guys all got through HSC, and you come out the other side. High school's over. You all got offered positions, right, in universities. Your prospective choices where you wanted to go. You got that, and I'm standing there going, "Oh wow, they'll all be qualified in 3 years. That's so fantastic! Oh, what a wonderful job! That's great! Yay!" Right? And I was thinking to myself, "Oh, I should do that with them. Yes, I've always wanted to do that. Should I design my life so I can create that goal?" And what happened?
That's actually you moved towns.
Yep, moved towns. Got out of my job.
Yep, got out of your job and then went to uni.
Created a situation where we could survive at that level, to study over that period of time, and what happened?
We're sitting in a podcast room with 2 degrees in psychology.
Righto. And Jonah and Reeves, the brothers, they're sitting with their completion of undergraduate degrees in cybersecurity.
All 4 of us, graduated. So
yeah. So that's what I mean. And that's what I'm talking about. About designing and creating your own life, because this is a reality. If you take the steps to actually fantasize and see where you want your life to go, you can do this.
Yeah.
Right? You can have anything you want. The only restriction you have is make a decision of what you want. Now, I went through a long period of my life knowing that I can do and have anything I want, right? You know what the biggest problem was? Deciding what that was, right? I couldn't make up my mind what that was. ultimately, at the end of the day, I found out it was academic achievement, right, and growing academically and growing internally as a person. That's become my primary focus, right?
Yep.
And of course, being the best version of me I possibly can be, and ensuring I have an integrated, immediate family, right? That's pretty much summed up my 3 goals.
Yeah.
Right. So ultimately, but for a long period of time, as I was saying, I didn't know what I wanted. I couldn't. Some things I think, I'm going to go and do that. And, start off down the tree. No, I don't want to do that. I might do this. I start off, get down there, start to attain information to attain that goal. Oh, I don't really want that, if you get what I mean, and changed again. So life is a whole series of changing tacks, changing decisions, changing steps you're taking. Life is change,
Yeah.
right? There's nothing as certain as change, right? So yes, continuously redesigning and recreating your life, I think, is most worthwhile doing, right? Because there's no rule books on how to be Noel C. Blundell,
Yeah.
right? There's no rule books on how to be Remington Liam Blundell, is there?
No.
So we can make whatever we want. It's a blank canvas. It's a blank piece of clay that we can mold into absolutely anything we want, and we can. This is what people don't believe. They don't believe that it can be done. Well, let me tell you, 100%, uncategorically, it can be done, and you can do it. And it's not that hard. It begins with taking the first step in the direction of attaining your goal. And even if that goal changes on the way, you'll be on the destiny and you'll be pursuing your purpose.
Well,
which is really important.
Yeah, and the universe will look after you as well.
Well, there is that aspect
Or
to
God,
it.
whatever, your God will look after you in a way.
That is dead right, and that's been a bit of a philosophy that's been around for a long, long time. There was a fellow named Wolfgang Goethe. He was a playwright in the 17th century, and he was very, very famous, actually. He was a German polymath, a writer, and he was widely regarded as a philosopher. Lots of royalty used to go and sit with him. Wolfgang, his name was Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. And he had a saying that it was along the lines of when we begin to move forward to pursue our goals, there is always an internal propensity to draw back.
Yeah.
And say, I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's impossible. But when you make that choice to move forward, the providence, which he's referring to, universe,
Yeah.
God, will maneuver itself in such a way to provide a man with the resources, questions, and answers that they could never possibly dream of to achieve the goals in the direction that they wish to pursue. His most important lesson was just begin to pursue your goal.
Wow, that's very close to what I'm writing about, actually.
Well, he wrote this in 1750.
Yeah, well, that's
1780, something like that. Well, his lifespan was 1749 to 1832. So we're talking what? Near on 300-400 years ago, this was the advice he was giving.
Yeah.
Right? It is true. Once you make a decision to start taking steps in the direction of attaining your goal, right, there's some, I know it's a bit heebie-jeebie and a bit down the unscientific road, I know, but astonishingly, right, these what would you call them?
Faith?
Synchronicities?
Yeah, synchronicities, yeah. I was going to say your faith.
Sort of start to enter your life because Carl Jung said there's no such thing as coincidence.
Yeah.
It was all synchronicities, right? These synchronicities come into your life which actually support you in pursuing your goal, right?
Yeah.
And they won't present themselves until you make a decision and start down the path.
And that's what I've been writing about. I don't know. He said that, the guy that you mentioned, but I
Johann Wolfgang von Goethe.
Yeah, because that's what I've always noticed. Like, you take the first step, and this is a personal belief of mine. I'm not saying everyone should do it, each to their own, but like, I genuinely believe the universe looks after me. Yes. And like, God is universe. I just use the word universe instead of God.
Yes. Yep.
But the universe look after me. So that's why that's exactly ties into taking the first step.
Yeah.
And designing, creating your life.
Yes.
It's like, it manifests in a way and maneuvers right in front of your face. You wouldn't even know that's happening. Yep. And people don't even know it's happening.
No, you don't. But it's funny when you start down that road. It's funny, all these things pop into your existence, right, from out of nowhere, which actually assist you with the next step to attain your goal.
Yeah.
That's why it has to happen once you start, right? Once you start to attain that goal, once you have it in your mindset and you start to look into your mindset and imagine what it'll be like once you got your goal, you've achieved your goal. Oh, I'll have a brand new car, or I'll have a house or a job or whatever it is, right? I'll be fit, whatever, healthy, whatever, right? Once you start to head down that, it is amazing what happens. Yeah. Give it a go. I can only say to you people out there, give it a go. Prove me wrong, but it certainly works for me. And it worked for you?
Oh, of course, with everything that I have today.
Yeah, righto. So, look, mate.
And I'll never go without because of it.
Correct. That's correct. That's correct. Because you have the ability to recognise what you want to attain, what you want to achieve, and take those steps towards those goals, and you'll never go without. That goes for everyone out there. Yous will never go without either. That might wrap that, mate. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that was fantastic.
I think that was a really good conversation too. It went a bit long. We got a bit off topic, but that's what we like to do here at the High Road.
That's right.
Now, if you got any questions or something you'd like us to speak to, or mention, or bring up, or dissect, or whatever you think is fit, please reach out to us at aimedmen.com.
Yep.
Or on our Facebooks, of course, Noel C. Blundell or Aimed Motivational Empowerment Network. And just drop us a line, either in Messenger or through the website. The website's coming along pretty good, mate, isn't it?
It's fantastic.
Quite a bit of information on there now, and you can contact us through that, and we will get that immediately. And we're happy to answer anybody. All right, you take care, and we'll be talking very, very soon. I can't wait for it. Take care, mate. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much for listening, everyone.
Look after yourself.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.